Sheila put a water there for Jimmy?
Hey, Jimmy's not coming.
I know, but extra water. They don't have an extra.
Yeah, there's no. I've got two.
It's not cold, all right?
Do you need one?
Yeah, for some
Want
reason I'm
two?
thirsty. Yeah, I'm real thirsty.
Right.
Trying to stay hydrated.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for August the 2nd, 2022. We welcome all of our friends and neighbors who are here to these meetings. Meetings are all open to the public, and we appreciate your input and presence. The first item on our agenda is a roll call. Sheila, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Pamela Phoenix.
Present.
Jimmy Reed. Beth Whitney.
Here.
Blair Swain.
Here.
John Landis.
Here.
Lloyd Nichols. David Hudson.
Present. There's a quorum in attendance. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, August the 24th, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you've also received a notice for the City Council meeting. Subdivision plats are approved by the City Council. Subdivision plats are approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission solely unless there is a request for waiver of escrow fees or construction. Only the City Council makes financial decisions. If an item is denied the applicant's 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department, the appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. And please come to the mic where Caleb is standing if you intend to address the P&Z. At the conclusion of this, on August the 16th at 1:30, there'll be a work session to plan for our future meeting. That meeting, like all of our meetings, is open to the public. And it will be held across the street at the Tyler Development Center, 423 West Ferguson, in the large conference room. Our next item on the agenda is approving the minutes from our last meeting, July the 5th. The commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes, and are there questions or comments, corrections? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from July 5th.
Is there a second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded to approve those minutes from July 5th. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Our first item on the agenda is Z22-048 Alvarado, Joel Ramirez Alvarado, 2311 Lex Avenue. Caleb?
This is a zone change request from R1B single-family residential to R2 two-family residential in order to develop the property with a duplex. All adjacent properties to this are zoned R1B and are primarily developed with single-family housing. The future land use guide identifies this property as single-family medium-low density, and this request would amend the future land use guide to be single-family and single-family attached medium-high density. This is the property there. As I said, the applicant's requesting the zone change to develop the property with a duplex. The area is primarily consistent of single-family housing, and two-family or multifamily housing is generally out of character with the area. Sorry, going back to the similar to a zoning case that we had a few months ago. That was a similar situation. This would be zoning R2 in the middle of a primarily single-family residential street. There were a few other zonings here in this area to single-family, but none to a two-family development. This is pictures of the property. We did receive one protest to the property or to the zone change for a protest calculation of 1.52%. The protest was generally against the property being used as rental property, which could be done with single family, but that's what they stated in their protest. Based on all of this and the fact that it's generally inconsistent with the surrounding area, staff would recommend denial of this zone change.
All right, thank you, Caleb. Any questions for city staff? All right, I don't have any cards on this item. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item? Speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion? Staff recommendation is to deny.
And the main reason, Caleb, was because of,
R2, since it allows for the duplexes, is generally inconsistent with the single-family neighborhood. At the best, R1D would be slightly more inconsistent, or be slightly more consistent with this area, but still would be increased higher density than is generally there. But as it is, the R2 would be fairly inconsistent.
Any other questions for city
Has
staff?
the applicant spoken to city staff about this, or?
Only slightly. I believe it was addressed when the applicant had originally come in as well, but they decided to proceed with the application.
and the applicant isn't here.
No.
Commissioner would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion we deny item Z22-048.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to deny this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's denied. Next is Z22-051, Best Buyer Homes.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a zone change request from M1 Light Industrial District to R1D, single family detached and attached residential, single family on 1131 East Commerce Street. This is more or less a cleanup item. The adjacent properties to the north, east, and west are all zoned M1. The properties along East Commerce there on the south, those, if you can tell, the single-family kind of platted lots, some of them are developed with single-family housing. Same with the lots to the north. They're either undeveloped or have single-family. I believe directly to the west there is a more industrial use, but there is single-family there along that street in that area. And then the properties to the south are zoned C1 light commercial and are also developed with residential homes or undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies the property as being single-family, medium, low density. This request would amend the future land use guide to be single-family attached, medium, high density. That's the property. As I mentioned, the applicant is requesting the zone change to develop the property with a single-family home, which wouldn't be permitted in the current M1 zoning. This would accomplish the Tyler First goal of adding more housing to the north end as well. This is the property. We are, of the 25 notices that were sent out, we didn't receive any in favor or in opposition. After reviewing the request, staff would recommend approval of the zone change from M1 to R1D.
Thank you, Caleb. Any questions for city staff? If not, I don't have a card on this item. Are there persons here who'd like to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am. If you'd come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Ila Gama, representing the applicant, my client Lauro Serrano. I am with the Miller Homes Group Agency, and we submitted a contract for purchase of this property, currently zoned as M1 industrial, and my client is interested in building his homestead. That is why we're here today to request for it to be zoned as R1D for single family, as it'll give more value to the property as well.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this lady? If not, are there others here who would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z22-051.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z22-052 RSB Landmark Properties. Thorani?
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and good afternoon to everyone present here. Thank you for being here today. This is a zone change request from R2 to R1D. R2 is a two-family residential district, and R1D is a single-family attached and detached. This is a property that's located in the north end. It's at the very north to Crosby Street. It's at the north of the intersection of Crosby Street and Mary Lane. If you look at the surrounding property zonings, most of them are R2, and they're undeveloped. And to the west, you could see the railroad right away. And the property to the north is C1, and it has a single-family house on there. The applicant is requesting a zone change to allow single-family homes. Right now, it's R2. R2 does allow for single-family homes, but R1D would allow for smaller single-family homes. And applicant is proposing 5 single-family homes on that lot. Looking at the future land use guide, currently it says single-family medium low density. Since R1D is a smaller attached and detached, it will be single-family attached and detached future land use. And that's the aerial view of the property. Like I mentioned before, the applicant is proposing 5 lots in it with a cul-de-sac in the middle, so everything will have lot frontage. And they also submitted a plat for it, which is in review and with the planning department. That's the aerial view of the property. Out of the 27 notices that was sent, 2 was received in favor and none in opposition to the request. Staff recommends approval of the zone change from R2 to R1D.
Thank you, Thorani. Any questions for city staff?
That's railroad tracks, right, around?
Yes, to the west.
I remember having something on this one before.
Any other questions? I don't have a card on this item. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Z22-052.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's approved. Next is Z22047 Rotagen Cove LLC. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Thorani.
I think so. This is a zone change request from RPO, which is Office District, to R2, two-family residential district. This is a property that's located east of the northeast intersection of South Fletcher Avenue and Travis Street. This is in our Midtown area. The applicant is requesting the zone change to allow for the structure. Let me go back here. That structure to be used as a duplex. Looking at the surrounding zoning, to the east and north is zoned R2, and it has single-family homes, and some of the properties are undeveloped. The property to the south is RPO and R2, since that area has the mixture of offices and single-family homes, and west is also RPO, offices in the Midtown District. The future land use guide identifies this as a mixed-use center, having a duplex in midst of in the Midtown area. This will be consistent with the future land use guide. This is zoning change. So looking at the history of the property, this structure was a duplex before. In 2010, they changed the duplex to be used as an office, so they changed it to RPO. Now they're coming back and reverting the zoning to R2. So they're just changing to what was before. Out of the 21 notices sent, none was received in favor, not in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from RPO, which is Office District, to R2 for duplexes.
Thank you. Any questions for Thorani? If not, no one signed up to speak on this item. Are there persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, are there persons, commissioners, who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Z22-047.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the item's approved. Next is S23-006, Genico Investments LLT,
It's 22.
Yes,
LTD. Did I say it right? Did I say
You
it?
said S23, it's S22.
F,
S is in Sam, 22.
S, did I say S?
You said S23.
S22. They're close. I'm sorry, S22-006, Genico Investments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thorani?
This is a request for a special use permit to allow for oil and gas drilling site in the location. Let me show you the location. This is located west of the intersection of Steel Road and Old Jacksonville Highway. This property is currently zoned C1, and if you look at the surrounding zoning district, to the north and south is outside the city limits, and to the east is AR, and currently does not have any structure. It used to have a structure on it before. And to the west is C2 and is undeveloped. As I mentioned before, the applicant is requesting to allow for an oil and gas drilling site operations. Let me talk something about the special use permit. The special use permit is allowed for some sort of, if they want to have a conditional any approval, it could be approved for things that are not there with the, in the regular zoning district, it's not per code. So you can come for a conditional approval or for special review, and it could be reviewed for either first, usually for 1 year or 5 years or indefinite period. And so we can look at it in case by case basis. And this one, the subject property, let me go back to the zoning map. If you look at the zoning, it's C1, it's actually sandwiched in the middle. In 2022, January, the applicant had requested for this property to be annexed into the city limits, and then it was annexed into the city limits in just January 2022 with the request that to be allowing for C1, which is commercial uses. But right now, the applicant has come in to request for oil and gas drilling operations on that particular property. Let me go back to the site plan that the applicant has submitted. There, the applicant wants to store water barrels and then oil barrels in here where you see on the yellow box right there, and also some equipment. The drilling operations itself won't be within the city limits. It'll be outside of the city limits where you see the 5, 6, and 8. Those where will be the oil drilling operations, but then they would like to store in the C1 property water and then oil and also equipment for the operations of the drilling site. Since it's within the city limits and a special use permit is required as per the code, and it has to be approved by the city council and the planning and zoning commission as well. That's the site plan that they submitted. It's the whole area. There it is. The site plan also shows the chain link and barbed wire fence, and also since the east zoning district is AR, they're showing a 20-feet buffer, which is required as per the code. The main thing over here is, let me go back to the zoning map where it shows, as per the 2012 master street plan, the Rice Road extension, you could see the minor arterial proposed. It goes exactly through the property. Our city engineer, Cameron Williams, he is coordinating with TxDOT to see if there could be any alternate route options, to see if they could either go to the north or to the south. I believe it's in the preliminary stages of talks. I think the last conversation I had with Cameron, he suggested that it might go north of the subject property, and they're still coordinating with TxDOT. So at this time, since it's in preliminary stages, they did not have any concerns with regards to the proposed minor arterial being extended through the property. So that's the aerial view. Out of the 6 notices that was sent, no notices was received in favor or in opposition to the request. Staff has reviewed the request and are recommending approval for 3 years, since we want to see how the alignment for the master street plan, the Rice Road is going to go, and with all of the operations that's going to be held up on there. So we are recommending approval for 3 years. And since they have asked only for storage of the equipment and not drilling, so recommending approval for 3 years for storage and equipment purposes only.
And Thrani, it's your understanding that there's a willingness to alter the master street plan to go around this location?
They are looking at alternate options, not going straight through the property, but maybe to the north.
Okay.
And is there any timetable on when Rice Road's going to be extended?
At this time, we are not sure.
No. So it's not anywhere in the meeting?
No, it would likely be developer-driven, and so, yeah, so the intersection would have to be, that's our understanding, it'd be realigned or reconfigured to allow Rice Road to come into that or to extend west, and that this appears to not be a critical, at this time, a critical location for that.
Was the 3 years number what the applicant requested, or is that just what the city is suggesting timeline-wise?
The city suggested timeline was 3 years. I believe applicant wanted it indefinitely.
Okay, and the applicant wanted it indefinitely, which means that they didn't want to just have temporary storage. They're trying to actually utilize it indefinitely for storage.
They want to have the storage as long as they're having that operations on the
The
site.
drilling, okay. And the drilling is outside the city limits, but the storage is within city limits since they got it annexed.
Yes, that is correct.
Is this I guess this is a producing well?
At this time, they're not sure. They're wanting to find out if it's going to be. I believe the applicant is here. Our applicant's representative is here. They can answer those questions.
All right, any other questions for city staff? I do have some cards on this item. The first card is from Jace Foster. Is Jace Foster, would you like to come and speak, please?
She covered it.
Would you stand, please, and state your name and address for the record?
Jace Foster, and she covered it.
And your address?
Address 110 North College.
And you're here in favor of this application?
No, against.
You're here opposed to this application?
Yeah, she covered it though.
Okay, thank you. I also have a card from Trey Brewer.
Good afternoon. I'm Trey Brewer, 1350 Dominion Plaza, Tyler, Texas. I've got a couple points, couple questions. First point, we are not the applicant. I'm not sure on the sheet why it says Cove Investments on there, but I just want to make clear, make a public record that we're not the applicant, and we do oppose this special use permit. We did send in our card and saying against it. I'm not sure why it's not received. I'll have to check into that afterwards, but those are the 2 points that I've got. Third point is, from my understanding, this is a horizontal well that's being drilled thousands of feet, and inside the city is not where we want oil and gas to be located. It's going to mess up future development plans for us, and so we'd ask the P&Z committee to deny this request.
All right, Mr. Brewer, thank you for your time and
I
presence.
have a
Any
question.
questions for Mr. Brewer?
Yeah, Mr. Brewer, what property?
So we are that green shaded area, and we're the property to the east of it as well.
Okay, but you're not the applicant.
No, I'm confused why it says Cove on the sheet,
Okay.
and I'm confused why it doesn't have a red shading in our two tracks. But we'll clear that up.
Kyle, you had an answer on that one?
Yeah, we have an application signed by Cove Group as the owner. I mean, the names on the applicant or of the application is because of the property owner. I guess I don't think we were aware of the opposition, So that should be factored for sure.
So,
But yeah, I think the understanding was that there's a lease perhaps to utilize the property. That's what's in the application here.
so it's the operator
We're
that's
we're gonna get to the bottom of this, but Mr. Brewer, is it your testimony that you own this property?
The Genco Group does own that property.
All
Do,
right.
do you all have a lease, Mr. Brewer?
I'm not aware of it. I'm not in the oil and gas department.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Brewer? Don't go away. Yes, sir. Well, I don't have any other cards, but if there are other persons who would like to speak, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, I'm Don Griffin, 7341 Cross Road here in Tyler. The drilling consultant for John Linder, operating out of Gladewater. It is my understanding, and we had a previous meeting with the committee, I think, earlier, but I just want to clarify our understanding. There is a well producing on this total acreage that they have under lease, 412 acres or something of that nature. There is a well to the south of the location that has had a special use permit. And this is in operations coinciding with that existing well that was drilled in the, I'm gonna say in the early 70s. It's been stated the 3 wells that we're drilling are north of the city limits, and they're not horizontal. There's 1 vertical and 2 directional. They're not horizontal. There's just a couple of little nudges in the formation to water flood and get secondary recovery. We have agreed to a buffer zone with Cove. In fact, one of their people, I got his card, probably left it in the truck, but he came out this morning, took pictures of the rig, and was all fine with it. Explained that they were mineral owners and they were excited to get the project going, so forth, so on. But in accordance, this is my understanding, in accordance with the leases, we are going to put a cedar fence to the east, blocking all of as much of the noise in sight as we can upon operations being finished. Now, the storage facilities are correct. They will be on inside the city limits, but we already have a storage facility that's in use for the existing well, which is just south of there. I don't know that there's anything else I can add that would help clear up, anything that y'all have, but if you have some questions, feel free to ask me.
So it's now my understanding that Genco has the mineral lease on this tract.
And have received property damages. Everything's been done by the book. We've paid property damage. We've paid, I don't know what the royalty was for the lease, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been involved in it only about 5 months since we started locations and et cetera, but have not been aware of any objections. And we've abided by our covenants, and we feel like that it should not present a problem. Because we already have the permit in use for that existing well. And the road goes right through that existing pad. So.
Thank you for your time and presence. I think you've helped us. Any questions for this?
Yes, sir. The drilling operations to the north, those 3, are they active now?
We started the first well which is the one closest to the city limits, the southernmost well.
8.
8, yeah, we started that last week, Monday, Tuesday, something like that.
Have you started storage?
No, we'll be, time we drill those 3 wells and execute completion, perforate, blah, 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 will be 3 months, 4 months.
And you said you have an existing storage for the other wells that are already drilled in the 70s?
Yeah, do you see the bright pad to the right of the blue line right there?
Yes,
just to
sir.
the east? And then right below it, you'll see a little road coming out to go
Yes, sir.
to Jacksonville Highway. That is the existing well. And we have storage. You'll see the storage tanks right there, I think, if you'll look. And we're, of course, selling oil off of it. We've just extended that more to the north in that, there and then north of there.
And you would just need
All the
additional,
drilling is being done north of the green square.
and you would need additional storage for these
We'll
3
need
wells?
additional storage, right? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, again, thanks for your time and presence. Any other questions?
City staff recommended approval? Recommended approval? Okay.
Yes, we would like to recommend approval.
Well, assuming that there's no issues with the application, it sounds like there could be some, or clearly there's some questions about the the right to use the property, but
Yeah, if Geneco signed a mineral lease, that's authority in itself. They just need to come here in order to get the,
Yes, we have leases
Zoning.
with,
But isn't it, this is for city staff, but isn't the application it's for tanks on the surface, and if Geneco owns the surface and they're objecting to it, it seems like we're talking about two different issues here. I
Right.
mean, if the landowner is objective to the situation, that doesn't make sense.
but with the lease, when you sign the lease,
But
that gives,
But the lease doesn't specify the ability to get a special use permit.
And Pam, the lease isn't on that property. It's on the one
Right.
north of
the
it.
lease isn't on the property that's within the city limits?
yes,
No.
it is.
It is.
The
That's
lease
what I
is.
thought, yeah.
Okay.
All of that acreage is under lease.
And whenever an
And
individual,
property damages have been paid.
yeah, so that,
All the landowners.
Yeah.
Surface damages.
so that's authority in itself. The only reason you're coming here is because you need to get a special use permit for
Right.
those storages.
Right.
So authority has already been given for surface and mineral use.
Again,
Seems like the landowner needs to coordinate with
With their other department.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, as I said, I've forgotten his name, but we had one gentleman out this morning who was very cordial and
From Geneco.
from Geneco.
Yeah,
very
sound like the
excited.
department's
Glad we're
not-
going, you know, wanted to know when it'd be finished, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. So, and I'm totally a consultant here, drilling consultant. I have been in the operations for about 6 months, and this land has been under lease for ever how long.
Gotcha.
And everybody else is out of town. So y'all get to deal with me.
We got you. Well, you definitely help.
well, again, we appreciate your time and presence. Don't run off if you have time to stay, because we may have some more questions.
Oh, I won't, I need to get back to the read, but I sure want to get this settled.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer, did you?
She called me up here. I'm not an oil and gas guy, but I understand that Geneco hasn't signed a lease. We may be royalty owners. Nonetheless, we'd like a little time to understand exactly what's happening and sort this out if you guys will grant us some time.
How much time do you need?
Probably a month.
30 days?
Mr. Brewer, can I ask, how were you notified of this, and what conversations were had leading up to this meeting with you involved?
We got the standard letter, and that's about it.
you know Joe Freeman, he's the
He's the oil and
guy.
gas guy.
Yeah, okay.
Is he on that application? Huh. All right. Sounds like we got some work to do, guys.
Yeah, you gotta go make some calls, Mr. Brewer.
Don't run away. Mr. Foster, I see you standing up. Do you want to speak? Please come to the microphone. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, Jace Foster, 110 North College. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of speak. I own the red land to the west. And so this field, it's a South Tyler Paluxy unit. It's produced 1.8 million barrels of oil out of these couple wells here. And its water production has gone substantially up lately. And so I think we need to be careful before we start approving storage tanks and different things for the green spot in question today, and then also the red spot, my land. You don't want to spill in the city. It's a bad thing, salt water or oil. And so what they're doing is they're going to a secondary recovery method, which just means more water. And water is actually more dangerous than oil. So I think it's just a good idea to take a double look and ask them how much they're storing, how much they're going to flow through that. Because sometimes you fill a tank up 12, 15 times a day, drain it, And so there's just some things that need to be understood, especially with Rice Road going through. As Mr. Kingman was talking about, Rice Road will be developer, driven. When it's developed, it'll be sooner than later. We're excited about that area back there. And it's going to be kind of a hub. There's going to be a lot going on. So I think an oil and gas well storage sites is at the end of the day, they do have a 456-acre lease that goes all the way to the north, and there is oil down there still, but we just need to all kind of think through it a little bit. So I think it's a good idea to continue to think through it, like you were saying, for 30 days or something maybe. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Foster? Those are the only cards I have. Is there somebody here representing Genneco, yes or no, or anybody else who'd like to speak?
Mr. Foster, and I understand definitely within city limits and spills and all of that, the land that's outside of the city limits, would you consider storage in it more north or something?
My land is inside the city limits.
Okay.
The red.
So you wouldn't recommend
No.
storage anywhere in
They
this
have,
facility?
they own land to the north, Lender does, and
Outside this map?
yeah. No, I'm talking way north, the other part of the
Outside this
unit.
map?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Foster.
You don't own the property here just to the west of it?
Yes, that's right.
That's him.
It is.
All right. Don't go away.
And did you put a protest? He did a protest?
Something was happening mine too.
So we don't have a percentage on an accurate protest? I wasn't sure.
No, but it would sound like that we definitely have
Okay, so
a
it sound
large
like
amount of feedback from the neighbors on the request, so
Sound
the
like
tabling would be a good
Just need
idea.
to be tabled.
Are there others, yes, sir, others who'd like to speak on this item for or against? State
Steve
your-
Freeman, 12080 County Road 167. I'm the surveyor of record on the project. This project's been on my books since 2006, not for this specific well, but Lender is the current operator of the wells and owns the leases underlying land. These leases were originally developed back in like the 50s, 30s, 50s is how old some of these leases are. I did the original survey for the 450-acre unit. It goes all the way up to Pelget, past the loop up there. It goes all the way over to Crow Road and Old Noonday Road. So there's no doubt the developer itself has the right to drill under those leases since the 50s. Subject to the city that we are under city jurisdiction and that's the reason for the purpose of this special use permit, to do what we're doing. As they stated earlier, there is a large site up to the north that was done under Wynn Crosby and Petrahawk operating back in 2006 time period. They have a water flood operation there, a well that they drilled, and it's forcing water into the formation, therefore flowing back. Purpose of these wells is, this is the prime area of where we're trying to recover a lot of that oil, is my understanding from the operator. As Mr. Griffin stated earlier, my understanding is that Genneco's been paid or damages, as well as the other operator that, or other landowner to the north where the wells are. So, any other questions for Commissioner?
Appreciate your time and presence. Is there anybody here representing the Genneco group? And Mr. Brewer, I'm confused about your role in this, because your card says you're opposed to this.
Yes, we are opposed to it. It sounds like another member of the Genco group that doesn't have the authority to sign off on it, and so we need a little bit of a little bit of time to figure things out.
Okay.
All right, are the others here who wish to speak on this item? And the staff recommendation is to approve, or to?
Well, at this point, it would be, since we've heard quite a few comments about the request that we weren't aware of until right now. So staff, we would recommend tabling it to work through some of those issues.
Okay. Is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we table S22-006 for 30 days.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to table this item for 30 days. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Items tabled for 30 days. Gosh, that was fun.
Finally, an oil and gas.
Next item is Z22, I hope that's right, 22-049 North Chase Development. Thrani?
This is a zone change request from AG Agricultural District to RMF Multifamily Residential District. This is a property that's southeast of the intersection of North Loop 323 and North Broadway Avenue. It's to the very north of city limits of Tyler. The property is currently zoned AG, and they're requesting to allow for multifamily uses. RMF usually are for apartment complexes. Looking at the surrounding zoning districts, to the south is RMF and is and AG and developed with apartments, and the property to the north and east is AG and is undeveloped, and the properties to the west is R1D, RMF, and C1 and is single family homes and also apartments and some undeveloped area. Looking at the land use, mixed use center, so this is consistent with the future land use guide. The applicant is proposing to develop apartment complex with the maximum density of 24 units per acre. This RMF is consistent with what we already see in the area, and will also add more houses to the north end, so this will accomplish the Tyler first goal. Out of the 11 notices that was sent, 1 was received in favor and none in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from AG to RMF.
Thank you, Thrani. Any questions for Thrani? If not, I have a card from Ed Thompson. Mr. Thompson, you have? Let's take advantage of the opportunity to come and speak.
I had black hair last time I was here. My name is Ed Thompson. I live at 3351 Cascade Court, Unit 304. I would just like to thank staff, for their recommendation, all the hard work that's been placed on this project. One of the reasons why we're doing it is because we have John Soul Food and the chicken place that just moved out there, but they just got bought and changed the name, so that's kind of why. And then we have the new medical school that's going to be happening out at the UT Northeast campus. And what a lot of people or citizens are not aware of, we don't have any market rate apartments. You have to go all the way to 5th Street in order to rent a market rate apartment. So The apartments and the projects that we have out there right now, all sort of, they're not subsidized, but they're income-based because they was tax credit projects. So we have a lot of people that wants to live in that area and be closer to their jobs and stuff like that, and they're not able to because those income-based apartments, you know, if you made 1 penny over the amount, you disqualified. So we're planning to bring, you know, 200, you know, market rate apartments to the north end in line with the Tyler First guidelines. So.
All right. Thanks for your time. Any questions from Mr. Thompson?
How many current units are there right now? Said an additional 200 or so?
Yes, there's an additional 275, 280, but those are tax credits. So as I said, they're income based. You can't make over a certain amount past the 80% income, you know, threshold, or you disqualify. So, you know, the only other market rate apartments anywhere within the vicinity is located in Lindale right now. So we're nothing against Lindale. I love Lindale, but we're trying to keep as many people in town as we possibly can.
Yes, sir.
Ed, thank you for your time and presence. And when you say market rate, that means there's none of this tax stuff that other.
No. That means anybody like the managers and different people that work at John Soul Food or what is the other chicken place?
Sanderson Farms.
Sanderson Farms, or even the UT, you know, will be able to not have to, with the price of gas, you know, a lot of people don't want to have to drive to Bullard and Gresham and Flint and all those.
And they're fine places just like Lindale, is that?
Sir?
They're fine places just like Lindale.
Yes, I love Lindale. Got a few projects in Lindale.
Thank you for your time. Any questions from Mr. Thompson?
You're doing wonderful work, Mr. Thompson. We appreciate you.
Very well.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time and presence. I also have a card from Ray Boudreau, who is here and available for questions. Any questions from Mr. Boudreau? Ray, do you just, okay. Okay. Are there other persons here who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Z22-049.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item is Z22-050. Michael Spigner, Thrani.
This is a zone change request from RMF, multifamily residential district to R2, two-family residential district. This is a property that's located southeast intersection of William Street and South Ross Avenue. This is also in the north end. The applicant is requesting to the zone change to allow for a duplex. Right now it's RMF, it's a multifamily. It's legal non-conforming. They're trying to make it conforming and also to develop the property as duplex. Looking at the surrounding zoning, all of them are RMF and is undeveloped. The future land use guide identifies this as single family, medium low density, and this would, since it's attached, it would become single family attached. And that's the aerial view of the property. Also, this will add more houses to the north end, and out of the 16 notices that was sent, one was received in favor and none in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change.
Thank you, Thrani. Any questions for city staff? If not, I have one card on this item. Sweet Cruz. Yes, ma'am. Would you come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record? I'm sure I did say that wrong.
Good afternoon. My name is Sweet Cruz. I live in 416 South Herndon Avenue, Tyler, Texas. I was just asking, how long would this take to build?
That's not our department.
No. Okay. So I'm against it, because I believe it will increase traffic. We already kind of have a bad traffic problem with the houses that are rented around us, as well as just increase. We have a lot of walking at night. Like we've had our trash stolen, we've had crime, like lots of police. So we just kind of don't agree on having more properties, especially like rentals there, just due to like danger wise, if that makes sense. I think that's it. It's on the top of my head.
Do you, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, because actually this is going to reduce the density of this property. It could, the way it's currently zoned, it could have more residences. It's multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
If it's changed to this, it could have a maximum of 2. So it's less dense zoning than it currently is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a factor for you to consider. We respect your views.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You understand what he's saying when he says
Understood.
density?
So, like in the future,
So-
it will.
Sorry. So, what I was going to say is you can see all that brown color that is multifamily zoning.
Yes.
And so that would allow for more than a duplex on the property.
Mm-hmm.
What the applicant's requesting to do is downzone essentially, or do more restrictive developments, or restrict them to only two units instead of what they could possibly do is more. So
In the future.
yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It won't affect the
Yes,
other
it does
properties,
now.
but it will affect their property.
Okay.
Do you still feel like you're opposed to this, or has the conversation that we've had influenced your
I mean,
opinion?
regardless, in the future, it will be used as like housing and stuff, right?
It will be. Well, that's what the zoning request
Well,
is.
the way it's currently zoned, if they had enough land, they could make an apartment complex, and that
Right.
would be a lot
But
of
right
folks.
now, they're just doing a
Right now, they're
single.
trying to do 2.
Two single. Okay.
That's it. Where do you live on this map? You could put the other one,
Do you have a closer?
Ronnie?
Yeah. Okay. So I live to the east, and then like one building.
Here somewhere.
Okay.
This is First Street, and there's like a restaurant. Yes.
Cruise.
Okay.
Yes, I live right kind of in
Okay.
front of the
So
property.
you understand now what it is zoned
Yes.
as? and-
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. I think
So
that's
you're
it.
still for or against?
I guess for it.
Okay. All righty, Ms. Cruz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Any other, yes, sir. Any other person who wishes to speak, yes, sir, come to the microphone.
I'm on lot 18, the Cornelio, 48 South Herndon. I'm on lot 18, yeah, lot 18. I was just wondering if it's gonna affect the taxes on the homes or anything around there?
That's not our bailiwick. I can't tell you what the taxes will be.
Yeah, all right. I was just wondering on that part right there, 'cause-
I wish I could tell you, but I can't.
yeah.
Is there a way we can find out? Because I was wondering on that too.
You have to wait until there's a building and all that.
Until it's open.
Not our bailiwick. We're only voting on the zoning. The only question is whether it's going from MF to R2. That's it. That's all we're deciding.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
sir.
time and presence. Other persons who'd like to speak? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
I made the motion, we approve Z22-050.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are all of our zoning items. That brings us to plats. Caleb, are you going to walk us through these?
I will be walking you through these plats.
Good.
Yeah, you didn't get enough of me to begin with, so I had to come back up.
The first plat is F22-085 Royal Hills Village.
For plat F22085 Royal Hills Village Unit 2, all comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval of this plat.
Great, thanks. Any person here wishes to speak on this plat? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve F22-085.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F22-086 Chema's addition.
Yes.
Caleb?
For this plat F22086, the applicant has yet to submit construction plans for the construction of Nell Avenue, and staff recommends denial of this plat.
Okay. Any questions for city staff or the persons here who wish to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny F22-086.
Is there a second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded to deny this plat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's denied. Next is F22-084 Stone Hollow, final plat.
Yes. For F22084 Stone Hollow, all comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval of this plat.
All right, I do have Mr. Kilgore.
Here for questions on it.
All right, let the record show that Kevin Kilgore, 6712 Biloxi Drive, is here and available for questions. Any questions for Mr. Kilgore? If not, is there a motion? Perhaps there's already been one. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve F22-084.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this final plat. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F22-090 Preston Ridge Phase 2 final plat.
Yes. For plat F22090 Preston Ridge Phase 2, all comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval of this plat.
Great. I don't have any cards on this item. Are there persons here who wish to speak on this plat? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve F22-090.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve F22090. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F22076 Pinedale Edition, First Amendment. Caleb?
For F22076 Pinedale Edition, all comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any person here who wishes to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item F22-076.
Mr. Swain makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Plat's approved. That brings us to consent plats Group A. Are all these available for approval or denial? Or?
For consent plats Group A, staff's recommendation is to approve the 5 plats. I can list them as well.
Yeah, if you'd just walk us through those quickly.
There'd be P22016 Lone Star Legacy Preliminary Plat, F21-142 Lenore Woldert Estates Edition, Second Amendment, F22082 Farm Road 3271 Edition, Final Plat, F22087 Independence Park Unit 3 Final Plat, and F22088 Gwynn Estates Unit 5 Final Plat. Staff's recommendation is to approve these 5 plats.
Are the persons here who'd like to speak on any of these plats? Mr. Wilson? Okay. Let the record show that Michael Wilson, P.O. Box 582 of Big Sandy, is here available for questions. Are there others who would like to speak on the consent plats Group A? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve consent group plat Group A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent plats Group A. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That brings us to consent plats Group B, and are we still, is the staff recommendation still to deny all these, or?
For consent plats Group B, staff is requesting to remove P22027 DG Estates preliminary plat and F22057 DG Estates final plat. The comments have now been addressed, and staff can recommend approval of those two plats, but they would need to be removed from consent plats.
All right, let's walk through these one at a time. P22029 Herndon's first edition, the staff recommendation is to deny.
Correct.
Is there a person here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny P22-029.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those two plats, that plat is denied. Next one is F220-0893 Lakes Park Extension. Caleb?
Staff's recommendation is for denial.
Staff's recommendation is for denial. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item?
I would just add to this plat, this one's actually been withdrawn by the applicant, so procedurally, it needs to be denied.
All right, is there a motion to deny?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we deny F22-089.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That plat's denied. And P22027 DG Estates and F22-057 DG Estates, there's one preliminary plat and one final plat. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on these items? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve both of these.
Correct.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of denying those two, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve P22-027 and F22-057.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve these two plats. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any other business to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission? If not, we're adjourned.
Excellent as always.
Second.
You did.
It's only an hour, which is better.